Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the New Zealand Sim Racing TV, where we are here for a very, very special event on the 28th of July. It's been organised in a bit of a rush, but we are here for the Global Esports Games New Zealand Qualifiers, the Stage 2 finals. We've had Stage 1 qualifiers over the last few days, and now we have 17 or 18 drivers on the grid, and they're going to be racing in the Ferrari 296 GT3 cars at Mugello to find out who we send into the Global Esports Games qualifiers coming up in a few months' time, I suppose. My name's George Cook. On behalf of TrackSpot TV, I'm in here with the commentary box, and we've got Scott Rankin beside me. Scott, welcome in. It's an exciting day.
That it is, and a big opportunity, I think, as well. One of the big things of the last couple of years, we've seen the Tri-Nations Cup and that sort of opportunity to compete at an international level. But I think the big thing is when you look at an event like this and an opportunity, we're starting to really see esports be recognized on a global scale. And one of the things I'm always talking to guys about, George, is the fact that there is no other esport out there in existence. And trust me, I've commentated a good 12 or 15 of them at this point in time. There is no other esport that so closely mirrors the sport that it's making. So this is where the drivers of tomorrow are being forged, and this at an international level in a qualifying series is where you're going to forge who is got the best drivers. This really dictates where a lot of those teams actually start looking for their next driving prospects in the future, and we've got some driving prospects in front of us tonight.
Oh, we've got some serious drivers in here. I mean, just a short list. Dylan Jordan, Xavier Simmons, Daniel Bell, Tim Sully-Sullivan. We've got Duane Taplin, Jordan McDonald, James Jordan, Paul Booth, Hugo Allen, Stefan McCartan, Bryce Harding, Craig Brock, Jamie Barnes, Ewan Baker, Cameron Dance. That's pretty much the full list, actually. I've given everyone the full list. But it is the cream of the crop who are going to be racing out here. And as you said, there is such a movement at the moment globally, moving these sim racers into the real world and also into these global events. And this global event is going to be absolutely awesome. Great to see iRacing recognized as one of the global esport games for 2026. And of course, on that note, this qualifier, New Zealand gets to send one driver to qualify for the big event in Los Angeles. So the top 19 in that qualifier will go on an all expenses paid trip to Los Angeles to compete against the top drivers in the world. 50 countries plus going to be competing in this. So it's a really exciting time to be in sim racing, and really glad to see New Zealand selected in this as well.
Yeah, big opportunity to, take yourself over. It's not that simple, though. You've got to get to the finals, realistically. There will be a time trial element. There's over 50 countries, like you said, so it's not just show up and throw the pace down. What we've tried to create and tried to mimic here tonight as well is the conditions that these guys are going to be finding when they get to the finals. Track, still TBA, to be announced, but we're expecting it to be, the Ferrari 296 GT3, something along these lines. So the goal is mimic those conditions, put these guys through their paces. There's no point chucking these guys in a Porsche 992 Cup car, having them show up at the finals and be racing in a Ferrari. That's just not going to work. So get in, get early, do the hard yards. Have a little bit of a look at the format, though, here tonight. Currently underway in the background, 15 minutes worth of lone qualifying. The drivers get 4 laps. Current tire model, it takes a little bit of time like that to bring the tire all the way up to temperature. You shouldn't be pushing on that tire, extracting full pace out of it until lap 3 at the earliest. Just bring it in gently. Make sure you've got the full life of the tire available. So there's all of this sort of stuff. It starts from the very get-go in your preparation tonight. The big thing that I want to put out there, though, George, fixed setup racing. This one always bothers people or makes them happier. But the biggest note that we need to find is we need to find a national champion, and we need to find a national champion on equivalent hardware. And well, fixed setup. Every driver's got the same tools in front of them that every other driver on the grid. Talent is the only thing that matters.
Exactly. Fixed setups, there's no room for any kind of manipulation or any kind of thing like that. They're going to be out there racing flat out. And speaking of racing flat out, right now, they are in their lone qualifying session, putting in the best lap times they possibly can. There's some really good lap times that are being shown around the grid already. So we've got about 15 minutes of that, about 7 minutes to go. So we're halfway through qualifying. Then we'll be going into 2 races, 20-minute sprint race based on the qualifying finishing order, which will be, again, happening in 7 minutes or so. So a 20-minute race one, and then we have a 45-minute feature race. This changes things. There's a second chance. Do you go for it in that first race and see what you can do, or do you take it easy and maybe just try and consolidate some points? Or in the race 2, do you back off? Do you try and play the long game? I think they're going to be sprinting to the end, given the prize today.
Well, the big thing is, and this will factor into drivers, there's no prize for second place tonight. That's the big thing. There is only a hero moment or a nobody moment. That does change up the racing prospect quite a lot. You're going to see Dirty Air definitely factor into things, but the straight here is so long that there is an opportunity. The races, particularly that 45-minute feature race, is enough for tyres to go off. So do you go for a little bit of track position? You're going to see these guys probably single file out quite early on as well, just with where the tyre is at this point in time, and then settle their way down on into things. Do you look after the tyre? Do you just try and underdrive it a fraction? If you haven't got track position early, hope that things come back to you, because if you just can't get any moves done on that opening lap, you can think about things. Again, drivers, the best drivers in the world don't just have one lap pace. They've got all of these levers that they can pull and they can manipulate at different points throughout the session to maximize their potential. And the best of the best are going to have to do that. So look, this is a track that will challenge tires, it will challenge drivers, it will challenge every element that's available to these guys. But I think at the end of the night, if you end up race one and you're in 5th spot, by the way, our 20-minute race and our 45-minute race are worth exactly identical points, right? So it's not as if that second race is way more important. If you finish 5th in race one and you're like, I think I can do this, I think I'm capable, that just empowers me to be a little bit more aggressive in race two. I've got that opportunity to go out there and put it all on the line, because if it doesn't work out, well, I wasn't going anywhere anyway. But at the same time, you've got to look these guys in the eye. One of the bigger things to me, George, is we are a small community. If you do something tonight that you're not necessarily happy with, you've got to look that guy in the eye and you've got to race him for the rest of the year as well. And you know, respect is earned, and respect goes both ways as well. And I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, because you saw the moves I was putting on Sunday night, I know.
I did indeed, yes. So we won't mention any more of that at the moment, but it is true. 24 points apiece for each race. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about that respectful racecraft. We want to see that out there, and that's what creates good racing. If you're good enough to get to the top spot, you should be able to do it cleanly as well. I think that's a universal rule that's kind of agreed by most people out there. Nonetheless, I do expect to see some bumping of mirrors tonight. I see some paint exchange between the cars out there, because this is a rare shot to get yourself elevated up into potentially a global esports game and potentially this paid trip to go to Los Angeles. It's going to be fantastic. Mugello Ferrari combination. Let's talk about this. It's Italy everywhere. Of course, Mugello circuit in Scarapia in Italy. It is a 5.245 kilometer track, ladies and gentlemen. 15 corners, a clockwise circuit. Large elevation changes are in there, and of course we've got that one very, very long main straight with a heavy braking zone into turn one. So there's going to be a little bit of slipstream because we're in the GT3 spec cars.
Yeah, but you're also going to be challenging the grip level of the tires as well. The thing about this racetrack is it's really, really fast and flowing. You've got, in that first sector, really sharp hairpin, but it's a long hairpin to really get your way around. You can get in there aggressively, dive it in, and wash a little bit wide, and you can't get back to the throttle. But there's only a short straight in between turn one and turn two. At turn two, it flicks back into turn three as well. So if you get up along the inside of somebody, you're on the outside for the next part of that chicane. Same again at 4 and 5. And then you've got this really long, sweeping element to the lap. And like I said, you absolutely can overwork the tires. And the Ferrari, and the way that it's sort of engineered at the moment, is it really wants to push on those tires. It tends to run a higher downforce package, and it likes that. It likes these sorts of tracks. Obviously, we're not going to be racing other GT3s in and amongst this field as well, so it's just going to be the Ferrari. So everyone's again on that same aero package, but it's a heavy feeling car in the front end, and quite balanced, and unlike the McLaren, unlike the Mustang, it doesn't struggle quite a lot with traction, but it really likes all the elements that this circuit has got.
Exactly right. A 2.9 litre twin turbo V6. Yeah, it's going to sound great out there as well, listening in during practice, and the engines sound beautiful. The drivers are already smooth on the inputs. They're going to have to be, especially in a few of the circuit areas. I mean, as you mentioned, towards the last part of the lap, when you're getting through the S section, through some of the long right-handers, you're going to be leaning on those tires and really hoping that you've nailed the entry. I think the entry is going to be absolutely key for these drivers tonight. Yeah. But again, who's around? Who's going to be going for that extra bit of grip? Use a little bit of extra grip, go around the outside line, find yourself suddenly on the inside for the S's. This is why this track is so good. It creates those overtaking opportunities at nearly every part of the circuit.
I can tell you at the moment to everyone who's watching along at home, there's 2 drivers that are still on laps. I think Hugo Allen's actually, sorry, my apologies, I'll back that one up. Hugo Allen's abandoned, as is Stefan McCartan. The one driver that's actually still out there at the tail end of the qualifying session is Matt McEwen. So he's going to be attempting to take his best opportunity. But realistically, at the moment, Hugo Allen's put the car 0.3 of a second ahead of Bryce Harding at the end of our back end of our qualifying with 2 minutes on the table. The other element to this racetrack that's really, really important is off-tracks and slowdown penalties. And what do we mean by those? There are elements of the racetrack, if you just use a little bit too much of them, iRacing will deem that you've exceeded the track surface. That will have a penalty of a time penalty that you must clear. Race control were very, very adamant before the session tonight. You cannot serve that on the racing line. If we find that, if we see that, if it gets reported to us, there can be penalties associated with that one. So it's not just as simple as go out there, drive the wheels off it, run a fraction wide, you know, Formula 1 style, you get 3 warnings. The 4th time you're coming in for a 5-second penalty, the 5th time it's a 10-second penalty, anything like that. No, you've got to make sure that you serve that slowdown penalty. It's not always directly evident to us. And this is one of those things that I like actually talking about, the differences between all the esports titles and how they serve the penalties. And be what will, I always like the Gran Turismo system. I've got to say, from a fan and a viewer perspective, it is very, very immediately represented to all what the penalty is for the crime. The iRacing, it's very hidden beneath the surface. The drivers will know. They will have the opportunity. If they're running their overlays, they will know they've got a penalty, who's got that penalty and what they're trying to achieve. And then it's the smarts. Position yourself to maximize when somebody makes a mistake. That is the psychology of racing.
Exactly. And in iRacing, of course, you're going to be given those particular amounts of time that you've got to reduce. You cut the corner, okay, you need to give 0.5 back, 0.8 back, 1.2 seconds back, and you can do that cleverly over the next period of, you know, reasonable period of time, until, of course, you do get slapped with a larger penalty. You've got to be a little bit careful, and it is more explicit in some of these other racing titles, but I think, you know, maybe at some point we'll be able to get some more visibility of that from iRacing. I don't know, someone can talk to the developers out there, I'm sure, but this is going to be the key thing. You'll see the driver's going to be pulling off, hopefully, if they need to serve a penalty at a key part, but don't expect to see that down the main straight. You don't want to be losing that speed. There is so much speed to be had down towards Son Donato that you're going to have to basically just go for it. I don't know, what would you do in that situation? Last couple of corners, you get a massive penalty, and actually I believe we are about to switch over into gridding. So give us your opinion on those last couple of corners, and then we'll switch into our grid.
Well, the thing is, you've got a really long final corner. You can run right up and around the rim of it and burn that penalty off. That's probably the best way to do it. And then it's turn it back and cut and drive. You got to keep your eyes on your rear view mirror, and you got to slot in.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, we are ready to go down to our leaderboards. So we'll see you there in a few moments' time. All right, on pole position, it is Bryce Harding. That 145.9 S. McCartan does line up next to him on the top of the grid. Then we've got McDonald in P3 in the 234 car. Matt McEwen managed to get himself up into P4. Then it's Ewan Baker and Jordan in P6. 146.5 there for him. Xavier Simmons in 7th place with Jordan in 8th. And that is Barnes, who's lining up on the 5th row of the grid alongside Sullivan with a 146.8. Cameron Dance finds himself in P11, the number 11 car, Fate. And then, of course, Booth alongside him. Taplin lining up in 13th position with 14th. And then, of course, Craig Brock and D. Bell gone through this a little bit too quickly on this side. And that is going to be your grid. And we go now to track. The race starts very, very soon. What are we expecting off the line here? This is going to be potentially a tricky start for some of these drivers.
Yeah, look, tyre temperatures is definitely going to be the first element that these guys are going to struggle and squander their way through. And cold tyres, you've got to back things down, you've got to get the car to pivot, but settle is the big key. If you give everyone an opportunity, though, they're going to be sending it. The big question mark is, how deep do you get into the ABS and the traction control, though? You can't be too deep into them, because what happens is all of a sudden you're overloading that tyre, you're sliding it on entry, and iRacing is just so sensitive to that heat. At any sliding, any over-actuating of either axle, you're going to have to pay for it eventually. You can cool the tyre if you can settle it, but this is probably one of those rare tracks where you just load constantly. The tyre doesn't get a big break right up until the back end of the lap. So that's a big element of that one. You gotta still bring them in nice and gently. These guys that are weaving here, desperate to get down through turn 1. If you can settle in, all of a sudden you're in control. If you can't get settled in because you're perhaps trying to underdo the tyre just a fraction on your way to the grid, again, you just see everyone's weaving aggressively, but you don't want to weave too aggressively and have a tyre that's suffering. You've only got a 20-minute race to get through here, so it isn't as bad, but you might see a little difference when we grid up for race number 2.
Exactly, and just noting on the leaderboard it says lap 1 of 20. Please do ignore that. It is a 20-minute race, and these laps are not 1 minute long. So just keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, as you follow along today's broadcast. And of course, Hugo Allen, with that fantastic qualifying time, puts himself in the top spot. Great to see Matt McEwen in there as a name that I recognize from the Gran Turismo 7. He's a GT World Series driver, picking up the flame, so to speak, here in iRacing, not a platform I've seen him race all that often. So it's going to make for a really interesting one. We've got drivers from all walks of life and all parts of New Zealand here that have made themselves available for this. Also noting that you had to be above the age of 18 to enter. So there will be some drivers out there, some of the gifted youngsters who are not able to participate in this, but in future years, they will indeed be able to. We are getting some reports that some stuff is happening on the stream in terms of the quality. We are looking into that. Ladies and gentlemen, you can always try and drop down your quality to 2K or to 1080p via YouTube. We're about to go racing here at Mugello. So we're looking forward to it. Please do check your stream settings. Make sure you're on the 1080p or the 2K setting if 4K is too much for you. Green flag, and we are away. And there is a decent start for most already got. McEwen, I believe, pulling into line to try and get maybe an early look down the inside line. He's pulled back defensive moves from Hugo Allen. He knows he's going to be under attack. 4 wide into the braking zone. Around the outside as well goes McConnell. There's no space for him, though, at all. So a little bit of paint exchange by them, but Hugo Allen pulls out on top with Bryce Harding and Stefan McCartan in the top 3. McDonald nearly made that a really hectic race start for all of them. Matt McEwen now following in behind as they go 2 wide, and down the back straight we go.
Yeah, but you just saw you had to get aggressive early. If you had a poor qualifying, there was your best opportunity to try and cut your way through. Just keeping an eye on the Automoves driver, Jordan McDonald. Had a little bit of a wobble as he crested the curb. Anti-cut curbs as well. This section of the track won't have them, but we've just been through those first 2 chicanes. Quite heavy, quite aggressive there. McCartan's coming under a little bit of fire at the moment as well. All of a sudden, the car with the clean air started to pull away, but Hugo Allen used all the real estate that was available to him. Wouldn't surprise me if he's picked up his first off-track infringement thus far. Here comes the dive.
Oh, there it goes down the inside line. And that's a clean overtake, that one, on the 151 car. So Stefan McCartan will lose that position for now. And unfortunately, it looks like we're still having a few video things going on. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Scott. Continue, and I will look into the issues.
But in the meantime, they've settled in behind. McDonald's taken the opportunity of the dive bomb from Bryce Harding to start to move his way back a fraction further forward. Deeper down in the pack, Cameron Dance has actually been the big aggressor in the opening lap. He's already up 4 spots from qualifying in about 12th position. Daniel Bell's also made up a number of positions down towards the back end of the field. But the end of lap 1, Hugo Allen has surged ahead. Better tyre temperatures, better tyre pressures. He's at least been able to make it a little bit of a gap away. In fact, he's already started to break the toe on the run down to turn number 1 for Bryce Harding. Has he been sitting back on the tyre just a little bit? That dive on Stefan McCartan. McCartan would have been looking to try and look after the tyre. In the meantime, that's just allowed Allen to just control the pace of things. He can now just back off the pace a fraction, look after the tyre, bring it in gently, meaning that he's got control of everything. Sim conditions out there at the moment as well, 49 degrees Celsius in terms of the tyre, on the way that it's putting pressure through things. At the moment, Ewan Baker would love to try and get a touch closer to Matt McEwen just ahead of him and apply that pressure, see if he can crack him open. You can just see the alternatives in terms of the lines between McEwen and Baker on the run down the hill. A little bit of a wider entry, allow McEwen to carry more speed through the chicane at 6 and 7. Up and over the crest. The best thing about this racetrack, the best thing, is those hills all around. There is so much viewing capacity from right around the rim of this racetrack. Italian car, Italian racetrack. Just exudes moments, and a great racetrack for the GT3 platform as well. Again, different lines through a lot of the corners. Double apex for Matt McEwen. Down at turn 12. As he pivots the car back through. This is the chicane you've got to carry the most speed through on the lap. Very, very wide entry, actually moving back up to Stefan McCartan to the final corner. I think he might have just fractionally overdrove the entry. Got very, very wide. That's allowed Jordan McDonald to get right back towards him. Bryce Harding still fractionally out of the draft and the car's up ahead. You'll see McCartan cover all the way to the right-hand side of the racetrack. 16 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. We're expecting somewhere around 11.4 laps. It'll be 12 to the end of the race. McDonald to the inside. McCartan left the door ajar. I thought he might cover it to the inside, but he's going to go the long way around. McDonald's going to show him the door. He's not going to yield. Neither are going to yield. McDonald will go deep at turn 2. Now McCartan will have to be forced to switch back. If he can clear him, the position is his, and he's got it at turn 3 finally. Now they'll start to settle their way in. McDonald will be feeling comfortable all the way out to the kitty litter. Picks up a fraction of that on the left-hand side tyres. Have a look at Matt McEwen as well, starting to surge in the background. Getting the touch closer. McCartan will be strongly affected by the dirty air at the moment of Jordan McDonald. So McCartan qualified second. Phenomenal. So my apologies. Qualified third. Phenomenal qualifying pace from McCartan, but at the moment on the slide and looking a touch vulnerable. And Jordan McDonald's actually got himself a slowdown penalty in the middle of all that. Too much to the inside through the chicanes, and you'll see him yield to the outside here. Clears the penalty just about and slots back in. So he did all the work to get the job done. And then just a touch too much of track usage. Now he's going to do it again. And the thing that opened the door last time was McCartan running a touch wide down at the final corner. I don't think he's going to get that twice in a row. He'll try and arc it back to the apex, but McDonald got there. There'll be a touch of contact at the final corner. They'll run out the other side. And McEwen watches this through the windshield, as will Ewan Baker. They'll be sitting, they'll be watching, and they'll be waiting for the opportunity to go after it. 3, lining up on the run down to turn number 1. This time McCartan covers it to the inside. Just about 3 wide as McEwen tries to get involved in this one. McCartan pinched to the apex by McDonald. This is only for third, by the way. McCartan will hang on to it this time. Here comes Ewan Baker. Sniffed an opportunity on Matthew McEwen. Now he's going to steal that one away, but it wasn't without a door just being shown. Baker finds a spot. McEwen will lose one. The only drivers inside of the top 4 who have actually swapped positions, well, there is none. Because the first of them is Ewan Baker, who's just snagged away 5th from his starting position of 6th. In the meantime, they're just funneling down the hill. We apologise to the viewing audience along at home. There is a technical issue, but it has been identified. We are attempting to work through it at the greatest rate we possibly can. In the meantime, I'll continue to feed you what I can. So the lead of Hugo Allen's out to 2 seconds at the moment. Looking like he's got one hand wrapped around victory in race 1 as we get through the first 7 minutes of racing action, which will be coming up in about 10 seconds. Stefan McCartan 2 seconds back behind Bryce Harding. So your leader is Hugo Allen for Bryce Harding, Stefan McCartan, Jordan McDonald, and Ewan Baker in P5. And they're going to set up and run out of the final corner once more, but this time nobody quite close enough to look for a move. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to, I'll get identified by our broadcaster when we're going to restart the session, restart the stream. So bear with us and we'll attempt to get that one back live with you as quickly as possible. Still some things to work through in the background at the meantime. All that you need to know is Hugo Allen does lead by about 2.5 seconds now over Bryce Harding. Harding is settling quite comfortably in the P2 as Stefan McCartan's been able to hold off Jordan McDonald through. Just keep talking to me, I'll manage Matty, Plucky for you and everybody else. You just keep handling and just tell me. Righto, ladies and gents, apologies for the delay. Looks like we should have found and fixed the issue, and that one should be back now. And I feel like all of a sudden there, George, we've been walked out of the park. You know how things are. They always work until you need them.
That's exactly right, yeah. And we've got a small team involved in this one, a short turnaround time. Thank you again, Scott Rankin, for doing an amazing job. You're a commentator and a podcaster, and a commentator and a podcaster and a radio DJ all in one, mate. So I appreciate that work very, very much. All sorts of maneuvers around the field, and ladies and gentlemen, glad to have you guys back in the stream. Like I said, small team working hard in the background to make sure we can bring these pictures to you, and we've managed to get that resolved for the moment, so we're looking good. Hugo Allen still in the lead. We're watching a nice little battle pack evolving down here around P8 as well, Scott.
Yeah, and this is Cam Dance leading this one at the moment. Cam started out at 12th spot. On the opening couple laps, he was able to pick off 4 spots. Whether or not he's actually capable of that outright pace, he certainly seems to be being harassed at the moment by Jamie Barnes, trying to get a touch closer. Cam will carry too much speed down the hill. And again, trying to present opportunities, but the dirty air. Cam Dance has got a working front splitter, but the cars that trail are not seeing the same benefits of clear air to the nose of their race car.
Yeah, indeed, and this is going to be a close one here. He's going to go for the send. No, decided against it. And you can see Cameron Dance getting already a little bit squiggly under brakes there. So he's really pushing the tyres at this stage of the race, trying to keep Barnes at bay as much as possible. And by the way, he's going to have Cam Dance and Jordan right behind him, coming at him in short order as well. So keep an eye on this battle for sure. The gaps at the top still relatively large between Hugo Allen and Harding for seconds. And then we've got a nice battle still happening for P3. Every point is worth it at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. These drivers are going to be working very, very hard to make sure they get all the way through to the end of this race without taking too much damage, and hopefully with bringing home a whole bunch of good cards, points for themselves, because that's going to be critical going into race 2.
Yeah, well, it was the fastest lap last time by as well from Hugo Allen. So not only is he improving and just settling into his pace, he's also starting to stretch. He put 0.6 of a second over Bryce Harding on that most recent lap. The biggest battle at the moment continues to be Stefan McCartan and Jordan McDonald, but the big news for those guys at this point in time is that McCartan actually has made about 1/10.5 of a second out of Bryce Harding on that most recent lap. So Harding's starting to look a little bit vulnerable. I would say he's probably overused the tyre a fraction early on. He's built that margin, and now McCartan's coming back to him. Alternatively, could be a mistake at some sector on the track. We just need to keep an eye on this next lap to see what that pace looks like. But for everybody that's just in behind, they're just about setting their fastest laps now. So the cars are coming to them. So you just wonder, has Harding just used his stuff just a little bit too much? I can tell you, to this sector of the lap, he's lost about another 0.3 on this lap. So I wonder whether or not the front tyres on that car are starting to go away.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward times for him, especially once he gets caught. If he is saving now to try and give himself a little bit of a buffer towards the last 8 minutes, though at this point with 8 minutes left, there is really no point in doing that. If you're going to use the car's tyres, go for it now and keep building that gap. He's tried to do that nice and early, which is a smart thing to do. But unfortunately, it does mean that you're costing yourself the tyres. See the wider line there from McCartan, and probably trying to do the same, or try and find some way to pick up the pace and get closer to Harding, which he's done yet again. So that's another 0.5, potentially another 10th coming into this corner now. But bear in mind that McDonald's going to be in this too, and we often say that being third in a battle is the best place to be.
Yeah, third is probably the best place to be in the battle, because the car ahead of you is still weak to that dirty air, and you're getting the double toe off the pair of them. So that's the biggest benefit to it. You know that, Stefan's going to be probably the weakest car out of the 3 of these guys, because at the back, all of a sudden, Jordan McDonald just gets towed along down the front straightaway. Have a look at the difference in track usage on the run down to turn number 1. Bryce Harding was actually just that half a lane wider, gives him a nice, more sweeping apex into turn 1. But again, I still just think he lost another 0.2 on that lap there. So he's definitely vulnerable. And right now, the other benefit for Stefan McCartan is he's just picked up that draft, so he's starting to come through. He'll have reasonably well looked after tyres to this point. He hasn't been in the dirty air all that long. His tyres will start to overheat as he gets closer and closer and closer. And you can just see him, he's using every little bit of real estate open to him. Small smack, and using those anti-cut curbs through those first 2 chicanes, that's where the art of this place really is what sections of track limits are open and usable to you. He'll feel the car start. Right now, he'll be feeling a lot less downforce at the front of this car. So he will start to be a little bit more on struggle street from here.
Yeah, how many pixels wide can you go, or further across an apex can you go to get that extra little bit of angle that you need to line yourself up for the next section? It's absolutely critical to the flow of this place. And see, that's a nice run there for McDonald. So he's continuing to hold on to McCartan beautifully. But tell you what, Ewan Baker's not too far away. He's lost a little bit of time in the last couple of corners, but he is quick, it seems, through the last sector of this circuit. And I think that may potentially give him an opportunity. Then again, 6 minutes to go, so we are not far towards the end of this race. 4.6 seconds out the front for Hugo Allen on Harding. So really it's going to come down to who can reconcile and get as many points out of this race one. A 45-minute race two coming up after this as well, which will be, I believe, the qualifying order once again.
Yeah, it could be progressive is the other way to look at it. So we'll just have to wait on that starting grid for race number 2. But the thing is, everyone knows that Hugo Allen's already going to win on the table. So now you just got to be a little bit more aggressive with him. You got to, if you can get ahead of Hugo and just force him to have to find something, you ask different questions. But have a look at the questions that McDonald's asking. The big thing, Ewan Baker's just picked up a slowdown penalty. That might have been a fraction too wide on corner entry at turn 1. He might have just stepped a fraction wide there. He has to serve that one. Look for McEwen here.
Yeah, McEwen could have an opportunity. He's only 0.7 of a second now behind Ewan Baker, so keep an eye. That's the red car you're seeing, or red, yellow, and black car on your screens right now. So McEwen, of course, coming across from the Gran Turismo area, but he's a familiar man with all sorts of racing. He's done real-world driving as well. Potentially, Ewan Baker's going to be in a lot of trouble now. Let's see through here. It's a nice run down the hill for both of them. So I think Ewan Baker's managed to get himself back into that flow, but now you're going to have this trickiness, this psychological pressure that ends up coming to you as a race driver.
Yeah, he's been under it basically from the word go. He was under so much pressure, lap 1, turn 1, and he really survived it. They looked 4 wide at that point in time as well. So again, Stefan knows what he's capable of, what he's not. And the big thing for me at the moment is he's not at any stage overdriven the car. He's sort of flowed kind of nicely. The big thing I saw is a little bit of a different line selection between these guys the last couple of laps as they come through that big sweeping hairpin right in the middle of the lap. That's turn 12, and it's about minimizing load on those front tires. If they start to overheat, if they start to cook, they're going to go off. And then it's down to this last corner as well. You'll watch them dive in a little bit, blend a little bit wide, arc it back at the apex and drive it off. You don't want to be too narrow to that apex at the final corner, and the reason for that is massive long straight. You actually want to sweep a little bit wider, but not take away from the time gain, because you can gain so much time between that final corner and turn 1 by just carrying a little bit more momentum off. Same time, don't want to overload the tire. The longer the corner, the more time the tire's under load.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, Ewan at this point is sort of walking on that fine line. He's managing to hold off McEwen down the straights nicely. So exactly what you were saying, he's focusing on that corner exit to make sure he's not going to be under attack into turn 1. Now through the flowing section we go. This is where the aero is going to become a little bit of a problem for McEwen. Slight snap on the exit as he runs over the exit curb, but still nice. And actually now we've got a real battle starting to evolve for P2 in this race. P3 in this race, I should say, as McDonald is now within spitting distance of McCartan.
Yeah, he got closer. He actually had to dive at him down at turn 1. I was just keeping an eye on things in the background as well, which is the closest that he's been. McCartan sort of called it up to Bryce Harding. Look, he's wide. He's wide. He didn't find the apex there at that corner. He's going to be vulnerable. I reckon McDonald's going to have another go at him.
He's got to. This is going to be his chance for some really, really good points here heading into race 2. That'll be a mental victory as well. Not able to find the attack, though, into the S's sections, so not quite the timing for him. I think, you can play it 2 ways. We talked, Scott, earlier on about, doing the Hail Mary, going for it. At this point, they're trying to reconcile, it looks like, and McDonald's playing the slow game for the moment.
Yeah, and he's known as a little bit more of an aggressive driver as well. And sometimes just not pulling that trigger just plays into the other guy's hand. I think he was actually just waiting on Stefan and make him vulnerable and have a go, because his best opportunities into turn 1. We've got enough time for me on the board. There'll be this lap and one more. Lap time around here, about a 1:47.3 has been our fastest lap from this session right here. And we've got over 2 minutes left on the clock as we come out of the final corner. So there will be one more lap after this one.
Yeah, and guess who did that 1:47.3? Of course, it was Hugo Allen, who is now out to a 5-second lead in this race. Opportunities here for McDonald. Is this going to be the time to take the send? Yeah, not quite, unfortunately. He's going to bide his time. He'll know the same thing as you do, Scott. He'll know that there's going to be another lap in this potentially. So he's going to bide his time for the moment. Is it just a matter of waiting for that mistake from McCartan? He's seen him run a little bit wide, and there's that different line once again, the wider line for McCartan. McDonald closing up once again. This is another opportunity, and he doesn't take it yet again.
Yeah, so just smarts. The problem is, of course, if you shove the nose in a little bit too close, he's trying to just get closer and continue harassing him. There was a lot of gravel on the track right there too, so that says either a mistake from Allen or Harding. Just up ahead of them has thrown up a whole bunch of dust. Could have been one of the cars at the tail end of the pack on the previous lap. We've actually got someone around now the second chicane.
Doesn't look like we do indeed. Might have been Paul Booth. Paul Booth. Right, he's currently sitting in P11 overall, so couple of mistakes out there on track. No major accidents though at all. A couple of spins. Jordan's had a spin. Tim Sullivan had an off track. Paul and Xavier have had off tracks as well. But other than that, not too much to report around the field. It's been good, clean racing so far.
Well, you say that, but remember how I said Cam Dance was up a number of positions in the P8? Well, he's lost one of them. It's gone back the way of Dylan Jordan, so those guys are squabbling on just as much. The reason we focus in so much on the lead at this point in time is because there's only one spot at the end of this to go to the Global Esports Games. That's what it's all about here tonight. Yeah, there's everybody else out there on the racetrack. But at the same time, this is where it counts. Really, probably our winner tonight is going to come out of the top 5. It's going to be really difficult, barring some bad luck, to come from further back. But I can tell you, I don't think Jordan McDonald's going to wait. I think this will be a move.
This has got to be a move. He's right on the rear bumper, and he's going to look down the pit lane exit as well. Oh, there's contact. Big contact. He's tapped the rear end, and McCartan is round, and he's out of the top 3, top 4, top 5. He's dropping positions quickly, and that's a lot of damage to the car.
Well, that's it. That'll be Stefan McCartan's day done. I don't think he's got enough car left, but you've just seen him pull away, pull over to the inside. So I think that thing is bent beyond belief. And he covered him, and he covered him, and he covered him to the inside. He didn't want him having the inside at turn 1. He felt if he could cover him off at 1, he could cover him off at the rest of the chicanes. There might be a penalty to pay for that one, though. There might be a penalty, and that might just take McDonald out of the equation. And that means that basically Ewan Baker and Matt McEwen and maybe Xavier Simmons are going to be a top 5. And for me, that's the 5 that we're probably keeping an eye on for race 2.
Yeah, exactly, and there's only a 10-point difference between first and fifth. 24 for first. Fifth place takes home 14 points for this first race. So that's going to be critical, especially if there's a penalty that comes in for that. And McDonald might find himself just, I mean, it was so unfortunate. It was a slight tap, but that's all you need at the end of the day. He had a little bit of overspeed and boom. Didn't quite get himself out of that slipstream early enough. There was nice defensive moves, a fair defensive move, I would say, from McCartan to hold that inside line into turn 1. But yeah, miscalculations are what's going to cost you a chance at getting into that Global Esports Qualifiers.
Yeah, well, no word on whether or not there's going to be an update or a penalty or anything like that. The one thing that we do know, and this is the guy that's just, he's looked in control, hasn't he? 5.6 seconds in 20 minutes. He was just under control.
Absolutely in control. I mean, look at this. Across the line we go. That is going to be your race winner in race 1. 24 points going to Hugo Allen. Across the line will be Bryce Harding in second, and then it'll be Jordan McDonald initially. It looks like we've had some switchovers there. That's McCartan in the pits now. He's been allowed to jump back to pits. The order is being updated on our leaderboard. And so Ewan Beaker will pick up P4. McEwen will pick up P5. Wow. That's an opening race. Magello providing entertainment once again. And for Hugo Allen, I mean, you're absolutely stoked at this point. You are in the box seat heading into the next race.
Yeah, but does that make you just a touch vulnerable, right? Because you know that you've just got to lock in. The guy that you're most vulnerable to is going to be Bryce Harding. And he's going to be there and really throwing the gauntlet down. But you've also got to look after tyres. And that race got quite hot at the back end. It actually went up to about 45 degrees track temperature. 45 minutes now in terms of we'll have ourselves a 10-minute break, a 10-minute reset. I reckon Race Control will have a look at that one. But yeah, what a strong race 1. What a strong showing for Hugo. Gives himself the best opportunity.
Yeah, exactly right. And some good battles around the track as well to boot. So nice job by most drivers out there. I'd say a few unfortunate spins, and great to see the likes of Matt McEwen up there, Ewan Baker doing really well. I know that he drives in a VR headset, so not something I would do. I'd be getting rather motion sick if I was doing that. But yeah, box seat for Hugo Allen. Let us know in chat. Who do you think's going to be taking this race too? I mean, Hugo Allen's a good bet, but don't expect the punters to be putting a good set of money on that at all. 45-minute feature race coming up very, very soon for you folks. What do we think here, Scott? I mean, based on what we've seen so far, the key part is going to be that getaway for Hugo Allen. Is he going to be challenged into the inside line? Last time out, they all went single file into turn 1. Obviously, it's the first proper race that we've had for this Global Esports Qualifier in New Zealand. You don't want to make a fool of yourself on track, but do we want to see maybe someone think, hey, I should dive at turn 1, maybe try and force someone a little bit wide and take that inside line?
You got to, like I said, the best opportunity to have a crack at Hugo Allen is turn 1, lap 1. You're never going to get another opportunity really to have a crack at him. So you got to. You've really got to put him under the pump and put him under pressure. I just challenge him. If he goes, the pro drivers, right? They're not going to be vulnerable, and adjust things, and they've got to have a think about the way that they want to get down into turn 1. And Hugo will be thinking, I've just got to survive. If I get through the first lap, this race is mine and I'm under control. He was about 4 or 5 tenths quicker than the field. That's a massive margin. And all credit to him. He's done a lot of work over a long period of time. There's a couple times I've seen him racing in a lot of different hardware, in Porsche Cup cars, in Toyota 86s. But the big thing about drivers of his level is that you don't sit static. You don't sit idle. You're looking for the next thing. What can I do to level up? What can I do to maximize my lap time? He'll know what the tire's capable of. He will also know whether or not he needs to save that tire a little bit. That does actually make him a little bit vulnerable. If he thinks that he needs to look after that, the best thing that he can possibly do is just send it down, turn 1, lap 1, cover the inside, not get tagged in the rear. He's off into the sunset. But, you know, turn 1's always a mysterious thing, isn't it? Particularly the wider the racetrack, generally the more issues that causes at turn 1, because everyone thinks they've got a piece of opportunity.
Exactly, we saw that. I mean, we had 4 wide into turn 1 on the first lap of our race, so all the drivers wanted a piece going into that initial part of the circuit. But you've got to be careful doing that. You've got to be a little bit cautious. But I mean, Bryce Harding, you know, second place for him, and he's going to be looking ahead at Hugo Allen going, you know what, if I can just get a good launch off the line and put myself down the inside line, maybe I can force him back into the pack. If he's back into the pack, then honestly, you're in the box seat. We have had a question that, Scott, you've actually answered in chat as well. So the tiebreaker. So if we end up, as an example, with first position, one driver in first position and then second position in the second race, and then the reverse for another driver, then it'll come down to best finishing positions and then, of course, best qualifying positions. So if, for example, Bryce Harding was to win race 2, then it's going to be Hugo Allen that'll take it, assuming Hugo Allen is finishing in P2. A little bit complicated to sometimes go through all the permutations of that, isn't it?
Yeah, quite a little bit, because, you know, the first element of that is obviously something has to happen to Hugo Allen,
yes.
You know, and then it becomes relevant. But the easiest way for us to get ties is well, let's just take our top 10 and flip them and invert them. 10th finishes first. Obviously, first and 10th is the same points, you know, across 2 different races. But then that sort of ties things off. The best news about all of that is that Hugo Allen has the best tiebreaker for him in getting that pole position. So qualifying was also an extra element of importance tonight. I said I thought racing and overtaking was going to be quite difficult, and I think we saw that. So qualifying was already quite important, but just having access to that safety and security net of protection in terms of a tiebreaker really lends into your favor. Again, something's got to happen. Hugo's not losing this on his own, right? Somebody's going to unsettle him. Somebody's going to damage a corner of that race car. Hardware failure's got to happen. He is the gun driver that everybody else has got to outdo something, a little bit of luck. But
yeah,
the good news about race car drivers is how often do you say, you know, it's better to be lucky than to be talented, mate? So turn 1, lap 1 exists.
I would probably also add to that it's good to be talented and lucky. So if you can get through that and get through 2, you know, races, 65 minutes total racing, especially at a circuit like this where really you can go 3 wide, you can go 4 wide. In fact, there was probably room for another car, although it would have immediately become 4 wide yet again. But for these drivers, having that talent is important, and every driver on this grid, top 16 from our qualifiers that were run over the last few days, they're all incredibly talented drivers, and a little bit of luck here and there will definitely help. And I mean, the luck didn't go the way of Stefan McCartan today, and Jordan McDonald was, you know, he's probably going to be copping a penalty for that. Yes, no race results confirmed for race 1 just yet. There's probably potentially going to be a call made by the admins at some point. And of course, just mentioning those involved as well. It's NZ Esports, New Zealand Sim Racing Collective, Trackspot TV bringing you the broadcast with our amazing co-commentator here, /lead/podcaster/radio DJ, Scott Rankin, and of course broadcasting to you on New Zealand Sim Racing TV. Like we said before, this was all arranged in rather a bit of a rush, so we're pretty lucky to have a stream it all and to have the race admins and have the rule sets. So a massive shout out as well to Matthew Clark, Ben, and a number of others in the New Zealand Sim Racing Collective who've done a lot of work to get this across the line so quickly.
Well, yeah, additionally, but also to say Matthew Clark and all the effort that goes on behind the scenes, mate. He's just been re-voted president of the New Zealand Association again. No good deed goes unpunished, mate, so keep your hard work up and you'll get punished some more. But the other thing I did want to get out of my mouth just before we get to the end of the race is how good are the race car livearies? Livearies?
I think livearies is about right.
Yeah, livearies. Yeah, that's it. I just triggered the entire sim racing community.
Absolutely right, and I'll trigger them by saying they're liveries. So whether you've got liveries, liveries, or livearies, we've got some great graphics on track today for the viewing, and there will be a lot of people who are going to get grumpy at us over this, which is exactly what we want.
Everyone's got that one group of friends that all they ever do is rage bait them, and I just set that off for the entire sim racing community. That one's coming back to haunt me for a long period of time.
Oh no, it's going to provide us with endless laughs. So I'm not fussed. I'm not worried. Oh yeah, here we go. People are starting in the chat already. Excellent. Yeah. Cool. Tell us your way of pronouncing the word livery or livery or livery.
Mate, I'll give you a story on this. So we were actually talking just before, because George and I have never really had the opportunity, the grace of working together before, but we were talking about it. I actually come from League of Legends, is where I got my start in commentating career, and I've been playing League of Legends with it for a very, very long time with a group of friends. And then one day, one of the guys that was sitting there, there's a champion by the name of Akali. And he just went, yeah, that Akali is really annoying. And it bothered me to no end to hear him say that he's the only guy, and I think he does it on purpose now. But anyway, it is what it is. Did just get an update from Race Control. 10-second time penalty for race 1 to be given to Jordan McDonald. So he will not be finishing net third. I did have a question mark over him, and that will put a line through him. So let me adjust my own scribble on a notepad points and shuffle him down and out. He's capable of finishing there. It won't adjust his starting position for race number 2. He will still roll off of third spot. There's no way to adjust that post-race. That's just part of the system. So that does promote a few guys up. Xavier Simmons then inherits P5. P3 becomes Ewan Baker, and P4 Matt McEwen.
Wow. So there you go. So that's a big haul of points there for Matt McEwen and Ewan Baker. Ewan Baker especially, third place. So he's got a real shot at this. I mean, top 3. We keep talking about the top 5 potentially having a shot if something happens to Hugo Allen or Bryce Harding. Well, that really puts Ewan Baker in the box seat for this one. He could find himself, he's only 7 points adrift now, essentially. You know, if something does happen at the top, when, you know, Bryce Harding's only choice is to go for it and get that position off Hugo Allen, and that's probably going to involve blocking him into a corner in a legal way, I should say. So if something happens up there, Ewan could honestly come on through, and we could be looking at an entirely different race situation. And as you mentioned before, you know, 20 minutes, the tires, we saw them degrade. We saw the cars getting a little bit loose on the rear end as they headed through what is a very, very hot circuit out there today at Mugello. 45 minutes, oh, we're talking a totally different story.
Yeah, very, very different, because just the way you apply the car. By the way, the critical thing, there'll be no safety car. It's not no manually driven safety car or anything like that. So it is how it is out on racetrack. There'll be no iRacing safety car sent out, no requirement to tow, which is a normal thing that we expect, right, in iRacing on the leagues and stuff that we've been done, which, by the way, very unique to the Australian and New Zealand region. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the world until now. Now there's actually a couple of, I believe it's Kickstarter with the Major Series who've been starting to do that. So we're used to it. The rest of the world has they think we're all crazy. They absolutely think we're crazy. But that's important, because I have a sneaking suspicion there's not enough fuel in these tanks to get the job done tonight. So that means that there might be a pit stop. Speeding on pit lane entry. Well, we're talking about introducing risk factors that you need to manage. Pit lane speeding, making sure that you get the pit lane speed limiter in. That's really important.
Yeah, going to be absolutely critical. And it is interesting when we really like the rule set that has been produced here at NZSRC for these events, and it is really sensible, you know, just hold out on track, let race admin sort some things out, and then get your permission to tow back. And it's cool to see that being adopted as well. Maybe we'll even see that adopted by the Global Esports Games. We shall see. 18 seconds to go. It is air temp 24 degrees, track temp 40 degrees. So it's a little bit cooler than we had in race 1. Dry conditions, obviously, as you can see out there. No race rain anticipated. And this is going to be key. The opening section here for Hugo Allen. If he can break away like he did in race 1, then he is almost certainly going to be the selection for the qualifier here in New Zealand. Will Bryce Harding make that early move? McDonald sitting there in third, obviously, with a 10-second penalty from race 1. 16 cars total on grid, although we did have 16 for race 1. It's now 15. So it looks like someone may have retired from this session, Scott.
And I think it's Stefan McCartan.
I think it is Stefan McCartan.
It is Stefan McCartan. Yeah, because he was supposed to roll off from P16 after the incident racing on, and yeah, he's not elected to take it on. There were 42 drivers that attempted to make their way into the field of 16 tonight, and Stefan had a strong shot. He absolutely had a strong shot, and it is unfortunate, you know. For me, it's tricky because sometimes you've got to swallow that pride. If you're not out there and you're not in the top 16, he knows that he's not in with a realistic chance, and he's just elected not to take that chance on. And that's a personal decision of his. And I don't hate the decision, but I would have just you can't win the prize if you're not in the ball game, you know. So
yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a really tricky one. I mean, everyone's got their own personal ways of approaching these sorts of disappointments, because it is. I mean, you can imagine from McCartan's point of view, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's defended his position, and there's been a penalty handed out to McDonald as a result, but he's still ended up in a situation where he's realistically not going to be the pick for, or the winner of the overall event. But staying out on track and seeing it through, I do always love to see that. There are some drivers that do that and you just go, you know, hats off. That's a tough thing to do, and sometimes it's too much. Nonetheless, we have 45 minutes, not 45 laps, 45 minutes of racing ahead of us. Hugo Allen down at turn 1 is going to be key. We're about to go green light racing here, ladies and gentlemen. So keep your eyes peeled. And there's the green flag, and we're away racing for the second time this evening. 45-minute race at Mugello Circuit in the Ferrari 296s, and it's side by side. Hugo Allen has got that. At the moment, they're still side by side, 4 wide in the middle of the pack. Oh, that's a great start.
It's actually Cameron Dance who got all the way up there on the outside, 4 wide. Jordan McDonald was lined up, line of stern behind his teammate Hugo Allen. Hugo Allen's coming under extreme pressure. We said something needed to happen here, George, and it is. It's happened. Bryce Harding to the lead.
Oh, brilliant work, and through turns 2 and 3, he's lined that up beautifully. Bryce Harding takes the lead of this race. That is absolutely critical for him. He's got to maintain it. He's got a lot of work ahead of him over the next 44 minutes of this race. But this is exactly what we wanted him to do if he was going to have a chance of becoming the qualifier in New Zealand, and he's already putting a little bit of a gap in there as well. McDonald following through in 3rd with Ewan Baker and Matt McEwen in 4th and 5th. Xavier Simmons in 6th and Jordan in 7th. Cameron Dance, that big move early on, and that 4 wide we had through turn 1, absolutely brilliant. But the race is wide open, as is the prize.
That it is. Now it just becomes a little bit of a game of chicken. And this is strategy chicken. It is the most difficult kind of chicken to play, because at this point in time, you've got to be quick and you've got to be trying to walk your way down the road and advance your position. But also, if there is a fuel debt to be paid here and somebody can just make their Ferrari go a fair bit longer than anyone else, there's actually been an incident, I think, down at the tail end of the field. We've actually lost one driver at the back end of the pack as well on our opening lap. I think it's Paul Booth. He had that incident in race 1. He's had another one into the back end of this field. So now it becomes a game of, do I want to lead because dirty air is so strong around this place, and then that means I'm pushing the hole through the air, or do I want to save fuel? And getting close enough to somebody to execute a pass is so difficult. So if you have to spend 2 seconds less static in a pit lane, that's a massive gain. That is positions on the track, but at times you'll feel your race falling away.
And there we go. Sullivan now fighting as well. Xavier Simmons going side by side with Cameron Dance. These two locked in a really nice battle at the moment. I believe that is number 3 car, Xavier Simmons down the inside. Yes, just trying to get used to the liveries, or the liveries, or the livieries at the moment to make sure I can correctly assess which car is going where. That's Xavier Simmons with a beautiful move.
Yeah, strong, assertive, around the outside. Didn't choke off Cam's speed at turn 1, but he left him enough room and just went around the outside, applied pressure, tires come up to temperature, got that one done. I think he's stronger in the long run, but Cam was certainly fiery on the race starts.
Yeah, certainly has been, and now we're going to look further up because the gap is starting to come down, so Hugo Allen doesn't want to let Bryce Harding slip away with this at all. It did look like he was just being conservative at the start, didn't he, Hugo Allen? He didn't really want to fight the position too much once Bryce Harding got side by side with him. And it was a decisive move regardless. There was really nothing Hugo Allen could have done. But maybe he's just in the mode now going, okay, let's refocus. The adrenaline is sort of wearing off from that race start. I always get overexcited on a race start, and then you find yourself on lap 3 or 4 going, right, let's cool down. This is the situation. What do I need to do?
Yeah, but the big thing is, you know, adrenaline pumping, racing on, pressing as hard as you possibly can. Just be smooth. Be smooth. Do not take anything away from these tires. I'd be braking a fraction earlier. I'd be underdriving the car just a little bit because you've got the opportunity to sort of pull your way back into this race. Fuel tank size in these ones, I believe it's still the 100% fuel limit, but this is a fixed set, and what that allows for is administration to actually limit the amount of fuel that's going in towards these cars. I'm just going to do some research. I'll get back to you on how much fuel was actually applied to that setup and what the fuel burn is around this track place.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got now on screen Jordan McDonald, behind him Xavier Simmons, and Ewan Baker just in front as well. So Ewan Baker now in 3rd position. There's been an overtake there at some point that we've slightly missed. Both blue-coloured cars, so that's doing my eyes a world of good at the moment. But nonetheless, Ewan Baker in 3rd position, and he's got 17 points to his name. He needs to be right up there with this group above, or he's going to have no shot at potentially becoming the qualifier for New Zealand in the Global Esports Games coming up later in the year. Gap now down to 0.2 between our leaders. It's really getting close, and that looks like a bad exit for Bryce Harding. There's going to be a potential for an inside move from Hugo Allen. Does do that, but runs deep over the curb, and so it's going to maintain the position for Bryce Harding for the moment. But Hugo Allen is right there, and he wants that maneuver back. He's switching to the outside.
Well, back onto the outside, challenges him. He crossed him over. He challenged him. Here comes Baker and McDonald in the background as well. They're also going to go side by side. And Harding's just forcing him to work for it. And McDonald's going to do the same. I don't expect Ewan Baker to leave this move open at the final corner. The same's going to happen for Harding. That was a very late switch back, George.
That was a huge send there by Hugo Allen, and he looks like he's got enough. He does. He's moved back into the lead of this race, and Harding will have to attempt to do this on the straight. He's got a good chance of doing it. I would say probably not the best place to be going to overtake into that final corner. So Bryce Harding will have another shot in turn 1, but it'll be on the outside line this time, crucially. So Hugo Allen should be able to break nice and deep into that apex and cover off any sort of attack, and does so. McDonald, in the meantime, behind him, does get the move on Ewan Baker, and they're all touching at the rear quarter there. McDonald nearly got spun around, but Ewan Baker racing cleanly to try and fight back for that position, bringing Xavier Simmons in to the fight as well. But the big news is that Hugo Allen, beautiful move at the last corner, and able to hold on through turn 1.
Yeah, now he becomes under threat. So doing some research, I actually don't think there's potentially a required pit stop. So then it becomes not overworking, overcooking the tire. The biggest thing that could have happened in Bryce Harding's favor to that pack right there is if he could have just held up Hugo Allen a little while longer and maybe allowed McDonald, Ewan Baker to buy in. Baker lost that spot to McDonald as well. So now it's going to be auto moves driver in P1, auto moves driver in P3. Hugo's got control of this thing at this point in time. Harding had to have a go. You just cannot let Hugo settle. If Hugo settles into this, he disappears into outer space. We've got our New Zealand champion.
Yeah, exactly right. So it would be a repeat of what we saw in race 1. So Bryce Harding, really, it's on him now. And if he suddenly comes under pressure from the likes of McDonald, then he's going to be looking behind more than he's looking forward. And that's not the situation you want to be in. It was super close to having both Ewan and McDonald all sorts of involved in that top 4 fight. At one point, we had both sets of battles side by side, which is fantastic to see. We're currently on board with Xavier Simmons, and he is looking to join this fight as well. The top 5 now down the main straight once again.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here's some games. You want some games? You want some fun? Weaving across the start-finish straight. They call it snaking in NASCAR, in IndyCar. IndyCar, the origin of it. Trying to cut the toe, break the toe. because you do not want to be giving your rival the opportunity to draft you as much as possible up and on boards. And actually talking about Xavier Simmons, the way he's driving at the moment, I actually was talking to I think a few of the Sigma Sim boys, the Sim Sports boys the other night about how he's been performing in the NASCAR, and everyone just sort of said, yeah, he's been driving out of his skull at the moment. He's doing a phenomenal job. This is by far the best I've ever seen Xavier Simmons drive in the last 6 months. Is he at the top end of this battle pack? No, but right now I think he's performing out of his mind. I think he's just driving so cleanly and precisely. I've got a lot of respect for him, because he's just, over the last couple of years, I've seen him a couple times, and every time I see him drive, it's just another couple steps forward. And that's what I said to you earlier on about Hugo. Same thing, same sort of mindset. How much longer before we see Xavier Simmons up fighting for a national championship?
Absolutely right. I mean, it's the mindset of continuous improvement. And, you know, given the sim racing world, you know, we don't have to spend $50,000 on a pair of tires to go out there and practice. We can get that practice in. You can analyze your Motec data. You can get tools. You can get engineers. You can join teams. You can join great leagues to go and have great races on a regular basis, short or long. You know, there's so much availability and opportunity to practice and get better. And Xavier, Hugo, many others, in fact, everyone on the grid, all doing fantastic work. Ewan Baker, another who's been involved quite a lot in the New Zealand races for the last little while. We've got a little bit of a battle pack starting to evolve here. Cameron Dance leading Sullivan and McEwen. A bit of a shame here for McEwen, I'd say. He's dropped down in this race and not really be able to maintain the pace that we saw in race 1.
Yeah, just a little bit of a soft start, not really feeling all that comfortable. You know, this will be experience on that colder time, or wasn't it? Once he gets the tyre up to temperature, peak pace, peak pressure really starts to show itself as a couple of drivers. In fact, Jordan McDonald's actually going to go ahead with the double toe and steal fastest up of the race. Here we go.
Here we go. Nearly 3 wide, but Cameron Dart's going to hold them off for the moment. Sullivan and McEwen side by side. McEwen trying that outside line, but yeah. Then, of course, you've got to sweep back to the right-hand side so you can open up turn 3, otherwise you're in all sorts of trouble. I did for a moment, I thought, the Jaws music sort of popped into my head. Hugo Allen, fastest lap. Unfortunately, we saw McDonald picking up that title, but the gap now is at a second. So, yeah, has it happened already? Is it too late? We've got 35 minutes remaining. The track temperature is increasing out there as well. Side by side behind, Jordan and Barnes. Nice little moves going on there. No, that's McEwen getting overtaken by Jordan. So nice moves being made around the field, but now the Jaws music, it's still in my head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, he's just set sail. He's in his mode, his space, his time, and he's feeling comfortable and confident. Quickest driver. Again, he's towing them around at the moment. I expect he'll probably bring that lap time down again this next time by. Just before we hit that crest of that peak of the tyre, it's about now to start sort of going away from him. You just bring it in gently, make sure it lasts 45 minutes. Bryce had to do what he had to do. He had to get out there, he had to steal the lead, and he had to keep him in the dirty air as long as he physically could. And I think he did everything that was possible of him. And, you know, again, all credit to Hugo. He's putting all the skill out and on the table.
Exactly right, yeah. I mean, Bryce Harding's obviously put up a really, really good defense on that one early on, but I mean, it was a really clever overtake at the end of the day. I thought that Bryce Harding was really just going to immediately overtake him on that straight, but Hugo Allen really nicely held onto that defensive line through the straight, similar to what we're seeing here. So there was no opportunity other than to go to the left for Bryce Harding. And of course, at that point, he's not going to be securing the position back without absolutely sending that Ferrari into this corner and probably destabilizing the rear as Jordan and McEwen go side by side. Cameron Dart's in for the fight of his life at the moment with Sullivan.
Oh, he just hit the anti-cut curbs at turn 2 as well, and that thing bounced all over the place. So Cam Dance has become the cork of the bottle. And, well, I think we're about to find out, can Cam dance?
Can he dance? Can he dance? We need another word. Dance. There we go. Kenny Dance in the Ferrari. The Ferrari's rear end going to be complaining at some point. Nice bit of turn, and he's trying to hold that apex speed through there as much as possible and just launch it down the hill, try and escape any kind of potential move. Sullivan running in that dirty air now with Jordan behind him, ducking a little bit, but look at the run he's got. That's very, very nice work by him, taking the wider line as well. Oh, they're going to go side by side. Jordan going for the move on the inside, but backs out of it sensibly.
I don't necessarily think he backed out of it. I think the window was very intentionally left there from Sully. He knew that there wasn't going to be room when they got to the apex. He knew that Jordan sort of had two options. It was back out of it. He left that room intentionally. He knows that he's got an opportunity to have a crack at Cam Dance, but Cam's just covering. just really saying to these guys, if you want it, come and get it, but you're going to have to earn it.
Yeah, smart driver. Can Cameron dance? Cam can dance, he can dance, he can dance, he can do it all at the moment. And the defensive class we're seeing at the moment from this pack is really impressive. I mean, Jordan as well, nearly going for that move, I should say, because I do agree with you. Was back out was definitely not the right word to be using, but here we go. Sullivan yet again. Oh, it's going to be an outside line. We saw how this went with Bryce and Hugo. Oh, the switchback. Not able to do it.
That's what they're getting to this point right now. It's what's the latest I can absolutely make him look at me for? What's the latest I can try and throw this move, you know? So the tricky part is that, yeah, it's not going to be easy to get this move done. So make sure that you line it up, make sure that you have a look, and make sure that you get there. Then you've got to think about it. And it's going to be, I think, 3 or 4 corners worth of switchback, switchback, switchback. But I'm going to liken this back to sprint car racing for me, because it's check the other guy's momentum. If he can't turn at the apex that he really wants to, he's offline. That makes him a little bit wider, a little bit more out of place at the next apex. You're just taking momentum away from him, perhaps making him overwork that tire along the way as well. So Cam's capable of this defense right now, but again, you've just got to keep the pressure up on him, not let those tires breathe.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another shallow entry, so Sullivan trying to get that nice car nice and wide and get the power down early. They might be close to a move here, but Cam's parked it on the apex as he's done previously. The onboard shots now from Jordan in the number 6 car, giving us a real good show of what this circuit is like to drive. For those of you who haven't done a race at Mugello in iRacing, please go and do it. And the GT3 class especially is a match made in heaven, if I might say so myself.
Yeah, I like the Porsche Cup cars. I mean, to be fair, I like the Porsche Cup cars just about anywhere, so that's not really a hard ask. But yeah, look, it's fast, it's flowing, and it's the big thing that you're seeing from these guys as well is it's all about using that off-track area. There are sections of it that are penalties, there are sections of it that aren't. And the best drivers figure out exactly where all the limits are and place the car directly against them as if they're a fence. Here we go.
Whoa, and that was definitely a little bit of additional braking. Oh, Cameron Dance does manage to keep that position from Sullivan, who had the inside line on him as well. That's a couple of tricky corners there for these guys to navigate while side by side, but they've done it again and stayed in the exact same positions as they were before. Meanwhile, Hugo Allen has set the fastest lap once again, a 1:46.846, so he's flying at the moment. Previous lap there from...
I was just going to say, Bryce Harding, I reckon Bryce Harding might have got the slowdown penalty at some point just recently, and his last lap was very, very slow. So Jordan McDonald's managed to get that move done on him.
It does look that way. 47.2, last lap 47.9, so best and last. Yeah, and of course now McDonald is up in P2, so we haven't missed that. Something has happened there to Bryce Harding. It hasn't come up on my event sheet, so must just be a slowdown penalty, and he's served it, and that's it. What's the gap there? 3 seconds. Seems to be less than that. If we look at it on track, there we go. Finally getting the camera shots, and yeah, Bryce Harding, unfortunately, slipping back into 3rd position with Ewan Baker right behind him now. Yeah,
so he's becoming vulnerable. I just went back and had a look at it. A little bit of an offline coming into the last corner, made him weak, made him vulnerable down the straight, and Jordan McDonald was just sitting there, waiting. Gotcha. Now you're weak, I'll go for it. He cleared him into turn 1.
There we go. Maybe this is an indication that there's a bit of extra tire life used early on for Bryce Harding, trying to keep Hugo Allen behind him as Hugo Allen goes again. Tim Sully, we're going to take a look. Oh, Tim Sully is off the track, and he's out. That's it for Sullivan. What has happened to him there?
I couldn't rightly tell you. It's just...
No, neither.
Massive wiggle. He's kept it out of the fence, and he's just gone, yep, no, that's it, we're done. That was all I had. I'm never going to get back up through those guys. So that's going to present some opportunities to Dylan Jordan and Matt McEwen.
Certainly will. They'll be elevated up in the standings as well. Some extra points to their name. Potentially hardware failure. We don't know at this point, but definitely no obvious signs of anything that's happened. The wiggle, and then he's pulled off to the side of the race and gone back to the pits. So there we go. More interesting, odd things happening in this qualifier once again here on NZ Sim Racing TV. Up the front, it's still Hugo Allen in the lead, now by 2.7 seconds At one point, that was actually coming back down to about 1.9, what you were saying before, Scott, with Hugo Allen potentially just wanting to extend the tyre life as much as he can. 27 minutes still remaining.
Yeah, so just an update on that fuel mileage as well. I don't think they'll actually need this. So after doing some research, no, they won't actually need to make a pit stop in this one. But I could tell you that battle pack with Cameron Dance, Dylan Jordan, McEwen, it might have lost Sully out of that group, but it's still good.
Absolutely right. And we will be looking back through the field as well. So there's Ewan Baker. Behind him, Xavier Simmons in 5th position. And then, of course, it'll be Dylan Jordan, Cameron Dance, and Matt McEwen, this battle pack that we were focusing on for some time there. It's now 5 drivers involved in this. You love to see this. Jordan's got a potential opportunity in the slipstream down the straight.
Just waiting just to see where he pops out. Little rise. Here, run down to turn number 1. Make sure you're all the way over on the left-hand side of the road at the braking point. Cam will cover it to the inside. Jordan late on the anchors. But again, just the advantage on the inside. But this is going to create an opportunity for McEwen now.
Indeed it will. 3rd position potentially has the overtake immediately, but that's slow for Jordan through the S's section. Tries to open it up and get the run here. He has done. That's really smart driving. He potentially could move over to the inside. Gets blocked by Cameron Dance, who opens up the corner for himself. And we're back line astern once again in this 5-way battle.
But the problem is they're all checking each other on entry, then exit, right? So it swings on roundabouts. If you're quick and you're offering that opportunity, the problem is the next time Dylan Jordan goes for a move, that hole's going to be filled by Matt McEwen. So just keep your eyes on that one.
Exactly. It almost did that through the S's section a few moments ago. And if he opens it up too much, then Matt McEwen, I'm sure, given his racecraft and his skill set, will go for it.
Dance was so weak up the hill that he's struggling for front bite. I think the front left tyre on Cameron Dance's car is screaming, I need a break, I need help, if you possibly can. Remember Xavier Simmons? He cleared this group not too long ago. He's now like 7 seconds down the road. He's just gone.
Yeah, exactly right. That's the benefit of having some clean air. He wasn't too close to those at the top. So at the end of the day, Xavier Simmons got himself into a great position and accelerated away. It's all this defensive driving now from Cameron Dance. He's having to put the car in under all sorts of load just to try and cover off as much as possible from the attackers. Jordan looked a little bit slow into that, but he's come out reasonably quickly.
Yeah, Dance was so deep at that final corner, and the cars overlapped him so early on this straight. Dance will get cleaned up by at least 1 here. It might be 2.
Oh, this is going to be close. They're still side by side, but Jordan's going to have the advantage into the braking zone. Still about a car and a half, or half a car ahead or so. Yeah, he's going to have that outside line pinged nicely. Can he get it? The grip, though, and the acceleration out of the corner. He can, and he's got the inside line for turn 2.
Yeah, but Cam Dance is going to hang it tough around the outside at 2, becomes the inside at 3. Switch back now for Jordan. And again, Cam Dance. The big thing I'm seeing right now, George, is he just props them. The middle and the exit, Jordan is asking so much from the car. He builds the run, but he just can't take it anywhere because there is a Ferrari with a lot of purple and a lot of yellow painted all over it, sitting in the damn way. And I guarantee you, Dylan Jordan is not going to be Cam Dance's best friend after this one.
No, and the red mist may well be descending. We all know what happens when drivers get frustrated. Nonetheless, Cameron doing an amazing job. We really thought he was going to be completely pipped there, wide through the final corner, completely beaten on the straight, but then deep into the braking zone, managed to hold just enough of the car to force Jordan to go to that outside line. And once he was on that outside line, Cameron Dance thought, right, now I can just let the car settle in, swing it through the corner, park it on the next apex, all good to go. Oh, this is great racing to watch. No moves yet from Matt McEwen, though. He's biding his time with 23 minutes to go in this race. And don't forget, we've also got Barnes and Taplin coming up behind this. All this fighting is slowing this pack down right into the way of everyone else. So Jay Jordan's going to be involved soon as well. It's going to go from 5 to 6 to 7, probably in a couple of laps' time.
And the big thing I'm going to say to you at this point in time, George, is all of these guys know where the best overtaking opportunities are, right? So they all know where you need to be strong and where you need to be weak. That says to me, I've got to get it done somewhere else, somewhere they're not expecting it. Just catch them off guard a little bit. Have them looking in their mirrors at the right time. Start searching all over. Dylan would love to pinch him tight. He's done that now. Oh, no! They're leaving each other!
That is Jordan. And he's come together with Cameron Dance in turn 1. And that is Jordan off the racing track and into the gravel. An unfortunate end to what was a spectacular battle between all of them. And it's just gone completely wrong into the braking zone. Jordan just kept on drifting over to the right, but Cameron was there trying to open up his entry into the corner. Oh, bit of a racing incident maybe. May go to the stewards at the end, but now Matt McEwen's got an opportunity.
Well, the thing is, as so often is, two drivers, one piece of tarmac. They both think it's the best place to place their car, and they both want to be on it. How many times has that caused major incident over the years? But again, McEwen clears Jordan, and he's all over the tail end of this next Ferrari. So he knows that he's got speed right now.
He does indeed, and it's going to be a close one. Already pulls out of that slip. He's going to go deep into this corner, but he's slow on the apex. So it opens it up, though, beautifully. So he'll get a run. This is what we saw Jordan do previously. That's really nice timing to move out. Can he get the overlap? He can. Oh, and Cameron's bounced on the apex as well, but oh, geez, this is going to be really, really close. But into the next section here, Matt McEwen's got the inside line. They're side by side. Beautiful work by both drivers to keep out of each other's way, but Cameron Dance again holds on. Welcome into the party, Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes got the opportunity. So remember, I said if you're on the offense, it makes you a little bit vulnerable on the defense, and Dance can just hang on to it another corner. But again, every braking zone, I guarantee those ABS lights on the dash, they'd be going nuts inside Cam Dance's Ferrari at the moment. He was driving a Ferrari 499 GTP on Saturday afternoon, doing some Road America 6 out. Now it's a Ferrari 296 as they were 3 wide for turn 1.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Matt McEwen has to go late on the brakes and dive into the apex to avoid Barnes coming on through. He nearly had a wiggle of for himself. And that's what we saw, in fact, in race 1 between a couple of drivers to end the race and really take one out. Stefan was unfortunately involved in that previously. But, geez, these guys are going for it. It is P6 that they're fighting over for the moment, but I'll tell you what, we've also got a couple of drivers closing in. We've got Bryce Harding. He is only 0.5 now behind Jordan McDonald. So the battle at the top for P2 is starting to close in as well as we focus on this battle for P6.
And the thing here, George, is only halfway through the race. We've still got another half to go yet. Again, Dance is just wide up here. Is the inside the best place to go? I want Cam Dance to cover me. I want him to my inside here at the right-hander. The left-hander then becomes the outside. He's going to go the very, very long way around that one. I think that then gives you the best opportunity to complete the overtake. And again, it's just McEwen's just asking questions of him. Where are you looking in your mirror, buddy? Where do you think you're strong? I think I can get the drive off here.
There we go again. Through this S's section, pretty much the entire circuit is S's here at Mugello. Thank you for everyone for tuning in as well here on NZ Sim Racing TV. This, of course, is the New Zealand Qualifier for the Global Esports Game, where we will be sending one driver into that global qualifying session. The top 19 from that go on for an all-expenses-paid trip to Los Angeles for the Global Esports Games, where iRacing has now been officially included for 2026. Matt McEwen looking for that move once again. Or will it be a lunge down the inside? It might well be. He's known for doing this, and there is the lunge indeed, but Dance is so good at placing his car in the right place. There's just nothing that these other drivers have been able to do so far.
Yeah, but have a look at the attitude that's coming off the rear end of Cam Dance. And the big thing is, jump on board, I reckon, with Matt McEwen for the back half of this lap. I'm just going to talk you through how he's going to get this job done. And there's a couple of really, really important elements here that I'm seeing from the onboard of Cam Dance's shot. Every time he hits a bump, rear end squirms around a little bit. Every time he goes into a corner, the front end doesn't want to dive. It doesn't want to bite. I think he's having to have a couple of different whacks at the brake. Have a look at the brake lights. See the brake lights there? Brake, brake, brake. Car's not wanting to rotate, not wanting to swivel. This next couple corners, the right-handers here, are where Dance is so struggling right now. Tips it in, struggle, struggle, struggle. Tips it in. Car doesn't want to go to the apex. Struggle, struggle, struggle. At some point, that front left is just going to say, no more, I'm done, won't brake anymore. And that is, McEwen's just got to keep the car there, keep the car there, made the mistake, got him. And he's got to put Dance in a position where he makes a mistake. That's my job. That's all he can do right now. The tires are just not offering him enough to get there.
Yeah, exactly. This is key observation there on the brakes, trying to get that rotation in the car as much as possible. But, you know, that's only going to last as long as you can keep that up with your braking foot. As soon as you make a small mistake, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So another nice line for Matt McEwen as we head onto the back straight. So down the last corner we've just gone, there may be an opportunity down the straight once again. Update from the top, Hugo Allen still in the lead with Jordan McDonald And then, of course, Bryce Harding, who is closing in. We will rejoin that battle for P2 shortly. Ewan Baker and Xavier Simmons, the only 2 cars between that battle for the top 3 and this battle that we are on board with right now, with Matt McEwen trying to find his way through on Cameron Dance. Cameron Dance on the brakes, trying to get the rotation of the car that he's just not really able to get, and bouncing over the curb there as well. Not going to be helping his cause.
No. And I guarantee if you have a look at a few of the guys back up the front, the difference between these guys is just that flow and that ability to track. You don't see the cars understeering. Bryce Harding did got a slowdown penalty at turn 1, and he's gone from being on the offense for Jordan McDonald. Now he's on the defense for Ewan Baker.
He has literally slipped down by 0.8 of a second, which was the exact difference that Ewan Baker had between him and Bryce Harding. So Ewan Baker, remember, of course, was elevated up into P3 as a result of the incident that we had in round 1. So he's sitting there with 17 points, now sitting in a potential box seat for another 3rd position here on Bryce Harding. And it's unfortunate for Bryce, isn't it? He's made a few small mistakes here. He had that really valiant attempt at holding Hugo Ellen back at the early part of this race. Didn't quite work out for him, unfortunately, but now a few mistakes. It's not the first time he's served a slowdown penalty at this track today.
No, and it's tricky. So the problem with it, the most slowdown penalties I've actually seen, normally you talk about the 2 chicanes in the front half of the lap. They're the areas you're most likely to get one. They're actually picking it up on the outside on the braking zone in the entry to turn 1, using too much of the curb on the left-hand side of the road, driver's left, when we get up and over this crest here. So the right-hand side of the shot, see the red? Get too much of the car out and over there. That's where you get yourself a slowdown penalty when you hang out over that for too long. I've seen about 5 today from that zone, only a couple from other areas around the track.
Yeah, so tricky to get that absolutely nailed. You want to be using literally 99.9% of the pixels if you can, because it will help you as you rotate the car through turn 1. But 1 pixel too many, the penalties will be applied, and that 0.5 second penalties, or any length of penalties, will be hurting a lot.
McEwen's finally got alongside with Cam Dance. I think he's going to get it. I think he's just got it.
Whoa, there we go. So we were ruining what happened to Bryce Harding. In the meantime, Matt McEwen, he's going to be elated because he's finally found a way past, and hopefully we get an understanding of exactly how he's managed to do that. That looks like a really clean overtake.
Well, it was just a huge moment for Jamie Barnes, who went, well, this is an opportunity. I've got to put the foot down because Cam Downs is now going to be in the dirty air for the first time. So he tried to take advantage of it. Excuse me, sector fraction too wide at the second chicane.
Wow, so all the cars now starting to really struggle. It looks like we've got a little bit of a cooling down of the track. The weather is cloudy now. So 15 minutes to go in this second race to determine who we're going to be sending to the Global Esports Games qualifiers for iRacing. Hugo Allen looking in the box seat at the moment. Jordan having a few little issues out there on track as we're following along with this great battle that's been happening from P6 and down, and Matt McEwen finally getting that. Look at the way that Cameron is already falling away from Matt McEwen. I mean, he's just got nothing left in that car.
And the big thing was, it's all down to turn 1. He finally just got an exit, did McEwen, that was strong enough off that final corner and placed Cam Dance in a bad position at turn 1. And again, didn't complete the pass at turn 1, kept him side by side at turn 2, turn 3. He finally completed it off at turn 3. It's taking sequences of corners to get that move stuck around here. That's the problem with the amount of downforce, the amount of grip that these guys are getting, and how sensitive to the dirty air they are.
Yeah, exactly right. Another opportunity for Barnes. Not going to take it this time out through turn 1. See, the exit's going to be absolutely critical here. Yeah, loose on the rear again for Cameron Dance, and we've got 4 cars piling into this battle. The cork in the bottle. Cameron can dance, but he's also a cork in the bottle of a very nice fine red wine, given by the purple. There's a stretch, this one, but the purple of his car, the grapes, yeah, it's a stretch. It's a real stretch. Behind them, Taplin, Bell, and Jordan also going for it to try and secure themselves a place in the top 10 with 13.5 minutes ticking down from this point in race 2. Let us know in chat, how have you been enjoying the race? Who do you think is going to win out in this battle pack? And let us know from which part of the country here in New Zealand you are watching, or internationally as well. Oh, Barnes is getting close now. Cameron is so struggling with those tyres at the moment.
Yeah, well, you're talking about fine bottle of wine. Well, the Sangiovese Tuscan grape is the one most commonly produced in this area, and that's going to give you a Chianti. So perhaps Italian race cars, Italian race tracks, Italian wines, Italian sons.
And Italian sends. He's absolutely gone for it. It's not worked out at all. He said that's the time to make it. Well, unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for him. He was really eager to get a really good look at that color on Cameron Dance's car and maybe get himself thinking about, well, that fine wine that he might be having after the race. Another opportunity as Cam Dance has to go wide, and that'll compromise him as well down the back straight. So Barnes is in the box seat once again.
He just couldn't find any bite backs on the left, so it's both fronts that are now starting to scream for Cam Dance. The big thing that I did see out of that one as well is that I reckon if Jamie had have maybe not quite gotten as close to Cam checked him up a lot because he just couldn't find any bite. I reckon he would have got him here. But again, harassed him. Even though he lost the spot, brought him down the inside, it checked Cam up, and Cam had to really rotate the car back at turn 12. So again, it didn't successfully get the move, but he was so much closer at the final hairpin that if he was just that touch closer on the main straight, he would have gotten that one done. So nice idea. I don't like the effort. The execution just needs to be a touch better, and I think you'll get him next time by.
Yeah, exactly right. And Cameron Dance. Oh, he's actually clipped the inside sausage there. So that's really launched him. And unfortunately, that's going to really put him, well, it's about another tenth or so behind Cameron Dance. This is opening opportunities now for the drivers behind Jordan and Taplin, now going to be involved in this. Bearing in mind as well, Bryce Harding has caught up now to McDonald, so the battle for P2 is about to start again, and they're bringing Ewan Baker with them. So a potential three-way battle for P2 is starting to brew up the field. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to see. Looking in the chat, we've got some great comments. Thank you all for jumping in and watching this event here on NZ Sim Racing TV. We've got Monkey Matt from Christchurch, another from Christchurch. Lots of Christchurchtonians enjoy their sim racing. So, you know, Scott, if we ever get you over here, Christchurch is where we're sending you.
Yeah, apparently the city of churches, beautiful area, as I've been told. I've been to Auckland for 3 days. I think I saw the inside of the convention center for about 90% of the time I was there, and the rest of the time I was passed out asleep trying to catch up on sleep. Also, was at the gaming expo. Gee, now that one's just gone from my mind. But yeah, it was a lovely opportunity actually over there commentating in 2014. But I've always wanted to go back. I was just talking to my partner about doing a trip around the Isles, hiring a van, and just doing a trip exploring the Isles, as Jamie Barnes is going to be exploring, looking for every opportunity available to him to get a spot here.
Yeah, indeed. And I think you've got about, maybe you've got a couple of spots around the country. You've got about 15 different houses you can stay at down here in Christchurch with a number of people that you know down here now. So a lot of the NZ Sim Racing Collective community down in Christchurch or near to Christchurch. Here's the opportunity, and Barnes is going to try the outside line. Oh, he clips the curb there. It's so scary when the cars do that because you don't know what the momentum is going to do. Luckily, they do manage to keep out of any kind of scrap, and Cameron Dance going very deep through the apex. He's going to open himself up once again for an attack from Barnes. Oh, this is tough racing between these guys. I have to take my hat off. Cameron Dance has done a mega job being this cork today.
Yeah, still going for it as well. Barnes again just making him look backwards and not look forwards. Opportunity to rotate the car again, understeer, understeer, understeer. So much being asked of the front axle right now, the number 11 of Cameron Dance. To the outside, they'll go even down to turn 12. If he can hang it tough around the outside, Marble's starting to build up off the racing line as well from the limited field. Rubber being laid down right across the racetrack. 9 minutes left in the session. Track temp down to 38. Grip coming to these guys, but only available to you if you're on the margin. This battle for P2.
It has started. It's been evolving gradually, but now we've got Bryce Harding trying around the outside into turn 1 with McDonald, trying desperately now to hold on. Oh, he's launched it back to the outside. It's actually given him a reasonably good run through it, and he holds on once again, forces Bryce Harding to rethink his strategy.
Watch Ewan Baker in the background of this one as well. He'll lurk, and then he'll just strike, because he will not be afraid. Again, remember what I said, there's one spot on offer. You may as well just have a lunch. There's no penalty to pay, no points that you've really got to think about. All you're trying to think about is that one spot. Well, if there's nothing on the line, that just says to me there's no risk. It's all reward. If it comes unstuck, well, it is what it is. So he'll think about that. Harding, I think he'll just drive a little bit more succinctly. Ewan Baker, he's known for those aggressive moves. Whoa, that's the tyre being used up.
That is succinct driving on the gravel. it is still consistent and very, very considerate driving on the, but it is on the gravel nonetheless. So that's the opportunity for Harding gone for the moment, and Ewan Baker now going to be potentially in the running to pick up a third place by overtaking Bryce Harding. Oh dear, just too wide, just a little bit overcooked it, and there you go.
But have a look at the different lines all three of them then just used down at turn 12 through that hairpin there as well. These guys have all lost too much of their front tyres, and they're starting to use a little bit more of the racetrack as well. So the car's not as responsive as it was earlier. Then you've got to think about, how am I going to apply this? Do I back off in the entry, save a little bit of tyre through the apex? Do I weave down the main straight to break a little bit of the toe? Big questions being asked. Harding is strong, but he's running out of time. I think he thinks that he can finish P2, but there's a man standing in the way, and that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. I think he can definitely do it. And it looks like at the moment he's got the opportunities. They're coming to him to and fro at the moment, but McDonald is placing the car reasonably well. It was very dicey through that last Estes section as we went through Luco, and it was, yeah, I don't know. For McDonald now, you've got to start doing the Cameron's dance out there on track and placing that car right on the apex. Otherwise, Bryce Harding, look, he's opening it up again. A little bit of a preemptive defensive move from McDonald in this one, but that'll serve him reasonably well coming down the hill once again. Ewan Baker, if he can find another couple of tenths here and use Bryce Harding to pull himself through, oh, that could be a wonderful overtake on offer for him.
Certainly, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's just set him up, get him weak somewhere. You're not gonna, you need a mistake. You guys are all so close together in terms of your raw speed. It's not gonna happen on pure talent. You're gonna have to do something. You're gonna have to shuffle a guy into covering you when he didn't need to. That creates the opportunity. So it's a C and a saw. It's a chess move and a counter move. And that's what it's all about. It's just getting him to think that you're in a place that you're not going to be. Fill that rear view mirror. Play games with him. If he's thinking about you, he ain't thinking about the racetrack.
Exactly right. Fortunately, though, for McDonald, he doesn't have to worry about anyone ahead of him. So at this point, it's full focus on the defensive driving that he needs to do. But yeah, Bryce Harding is a smart driver. We know he's got the racecraft to set this one up beautifully. Good run down the hill for him there.
It was just a strong exit. McDonald had to crack the throttle on the way out. He was just understeering a touch wide. He couldn't carry that momentum. He might clear him. He's going to be 3/4 of the way ahead.
Whoa! Little touch on the rear there. McDonald trying to defend as much as he can, but Bryce Harding's still got a nose ahead as we reach the exit apex. Yeah, honestly, he's done incredibly well there. So an overtake beautifully done by Bryce Harding.
And you know what? I said it'd be about applying pressure and applying things and getting him to crack by getting him to look. But it was the moment that Bryce Harding backstopped a Fruven, backed off a touch, and actually took the pressure off him. And all of a sudden, Jordan went, "Whew, I'm okay, I'm settled." And then he made the mistake because he just wasn't thinking in the game. He was trying to breathe and reset himself. So that's how that one happened. There's also been contact with Cam Dance, I'm hearing.
Yep, that is right. There's been a spin by Cameron Dance, the number 11 driver, so he has dropped all the way down the field, and that is it. The cork is out of the bottle. It's hit the roof, it's hit the wall, the lampshade, and the glass mirror. And unfortunately for Cam Dance, he's going to be dropping right to the bottom of the field. I think we're going to be able to bring up a replay of this. So let's try and take a look and then hopefully switch over to Cameron Dance. He's already off the road by this point, unfortunately. So we'll try and get another instant replay to see. Oh, well, that's the spin, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to capture exactly what's going on with Cam Dance in this one.
Yeah, so I went back and had a look, and it was a big dive up the inside, and probably Jamie Barnes will be the driver that's probably going to trigger that one for us to try and get a replay out of, because he had a massive send on him down at turn 12, and he probably overdid it, and then they were both out and into the weeds, and there it goes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate there. Unfortunate end, and a really good defensive masterclass by Cameron Dance. We've got 3 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. Bryce Harding's moved up into second, McDonald in third. Ewan Baker is still lurking in the background, would love to grab another podium in this, and of course a bit of a reconciliation drive, I suppose, for McDonald, given his 10-second penalty in race one contact with Stefan. That unfortunately has caused Stefan to decide that he's going to be out of the remainder of this event. Cameron Dance, yeah, now confirmed. He has pitted, he has removed himself from the session. So these last 3 minutes really going to come down to who's going to take this final spot on the podium. Bryce Harding should be there for P2 now. But I tell you what, Scott, it has been Hugo Allen's day. Race 1 was absolutely brilliant. Got away beautifully, drove to a 7 or 8 second gap in front. He's had a little bit more of a difficult time here in race 2, but once he was clear, he settled down, he settled in, and he has just been going for it since.
But two very different drives as well. Race 1 had it all his own way, just settled in, looked after the tyre initially, he pressed on, he built that margin early, and he probably took a little bit of extra life out of the tyre early in race 1, but he knew it's a 20-minute race. I don't have to make this tyre last. I don't have to extract all of it at the back end of a 45 minutes. There's a great guy by the name of Nick Ottinger. I've taken some advice and some links out of his page just recently, and he always says the most important lap of the stint is the last one. Well, in a 20-minute race, it's the last lap. It was lap 12 of the previous race. In this one, we've asked 24 laps out of that time now. We're going to come on through. There's going to be 26 laps in this one. The most important lap is lap 26. If you've got no tyre left because that thing is overheated, but he's driven to that marker, you let Bryce go for it. He knew it was going to be under assault. He knew he drove in rows to the exact occasion that was around him. And you want the best part? A time trial to get through to the international level stage, to the Global Esports Games. That's another level again. If he can successfully do that, and I've got to be honest with you, I think he is capable. I genuinely think he is capable of doing that. But it's going to ask another format, another style of drive. Time trial? Mate, hot lap heroes. That's what that's all about. This was about racecraft.
Yeah, exactly right. And we talk often, well, some people talk about the differences in enduro versus sprint racing, but at the end of the day, it's that same mentality. It's really about how you finish, not necessarily how you start. It's how you get through that journey to that last lap. Do you still have tires? Do you still have fuel? Are you still in a better position as a result? Being calm through the early stages is exactly what Hugo Allen has showed us today, and he took the opportunity to get back past Bryce Harding once it appeared. You know, he drove consistently, he drove smartly, he opened up the opportunities, and then he took it.
But when he got alongside of Harding as well, he didn't just ask too much of the tyre. Again, he drove to the limit of the tyre, not a bit beyond, and then he settled back out down into his rhythm, cleared away. I don't think he actually, was too worried about the car that was in his rearview mirror. He basically said to himself, if I put the next 20 laps of my best laps together, nobody's going to touch me. And that's what he focused on driving. He wasn't thinking about the car in the rearview, wasn't thinking about anything else. He was thinking about his brake marker, his turn-in marker, his apex, his throttle up, his tyres. Nobody else came into that picture, and that's the important part.
Exactly right. And to crown this off, there is now 1 lap left in race 2. 45 minutes now basically done. Hugo Allen drove smoothly at the start, and he's now essentially on a victory lap. Assuming he can get himself all the way around 1 more lap, then he is going to be the qualifier for the New Zealand event today. He'll be going into that global qualifier, 50-plus countries all entering a single driver, New Zealand included in that. And then the top drivers, the top 19 from that, will go to Los Angeles at the end of the year for the Global Esports Game, where iRacing has now become an officially sanctioned part of it. It's a really great time to be in sim racing. It's a fantastic time to have been cool, calm and collected out on track. I believe Hugo Allen has done that today, and it'll be fascinating to see what he can do out there in amongst some of the best drivers in iRacing in the world at this global event. Little old New Zealand being put on the map. And at this point, it looks like it's going to be Hugo Allen that's going to be doing it.
Only a couple more corners to come. Back in December is when this one will all play its way up. But he's got another journey to go through before he can even get there. He's got 3 more apexes to worry about, and then he can start to celebrate. It's going to be a 7-day convention starting on Tuesday, the 1st of December. Before he can think about that, he's still got a time trial session to go through. He'll have the team. You've seen the Automo's crew as well, with Jordan McDonald out there tonight, also supporting him. So he's not on his own, but he still has another mountain to climb. This was the very first peak. Now he'll start to assault the summit.
Hugo Allen, the qualifier, flash of the lights across the line. He's done it. He qualified on pole position. He won race 1. He won race 2. And that is a happy driver out there on circuit. Hugo Allen is our selected driver now for the New Zealand qualifiers. He will be going into the qualifiers for the Global Esports Game. Congratulations to Hugo Allen. What a drive today, and a massive congratulations to all the drivers, and a massive thanks for everyone who has entered into this event, held at very, very short notice, but some great racing out there on track in the Ferrari 296 GT3s at Mugello, and Hugo Allen is going to be our selection. A massive congratulations to him. What a drive today.
Yeah, mate, congratulations. Did all that you needed to do. And again, it comes down to that. Was aggressive, had fun, really put himself out there, but at the same time, you know, the big question mark I had was surviving turn 1, race 2. He did all the hard yards in qualifying, did all the hard yards in race 1, wasn't really challenged, but race 2, sometimes it just gets in the back of your mind, doesn't it? And you just go, the only way I can lose this is making an inopportune mistake. And he drove around that. Again, Bryce was there. He gave him more room than he needed to because he had so much to lose. Why risk it?
Exactly. The patience has been absolutely key today for Hugo Allen. The consistency, the talent. You know, we said before as well, Scott, we were talking about it's good to be, you know, either talented or lucky. Well, it's good to be both. And I think a little bit of that played in some respects. But I think Hugo Allen has mastered that. He didn't need the luck today. He was smart out there on track. The racecraft showed that. The consistency showed that. So absolutely, Hugo Allen, what a drive today. And that is going to be essentially the result. He's going to take home 48 points. It's clear of all the other drivers on grid. 2 second places for Bryce Harding there. And of course, McConnell coming in there for third. The full race results coming up on your screen right now for race 2. But nonetheless, Hugo Allen is your selected driver to go to the Global Esports Game for qualifying. I love this sort of thing, Scott. It's brilliant to see. We've had a great evening of racing out there at Mugello. A huge thanks. We'll do more thanks and stuff in a few moments' time, but give us a breakdown of what we've seen out there today. Hugo Allen, our champion, being sent into this international event.
Yeah. And the first step of that, I want to say a big shout out actually to the 42 drivers that laid down times to attempt to qualify to this one. From everybody, I want to apologise on the short notice that the series has got. Mate, I got a message Thursday last week. Hey, are you available on Tuesday night? We need you for a broadcast. Let me give you some details. That's the information and the time period that we got. Everyone that's come out to support it tonight. You know, New Zealand, like I said, New Zealand's got probably the best community I've ever worked with, and it's across not just iRacing, it's across everything. I will gladly be here and support everything that goes on Kiwi every single day of the week, regardless of my actual living in the country or not. So a big shout out to everyone that supported, to Matty Pluck and everyone behind the scenes that put the series and everything on to make sure that there was a pre-qualifying, there was an opportunity for 16 cars to get out there and go racing. From there, Hugo Allen qualified P1, led every lap of race number 1, had a challenge taken to him by Bryce Harding in race number 2, and stood atop the pile. My word though, that battle for 8th place, there was absolutely nothing on, but those guys knew it doesn't matter. There's a battle, there's a racetrack to go racing on. Let's throw it down on each other. For Cam Downs, for Matt McEwen, for Xavier Simmons, who got the job done early, for Jamie Barnes, Dylan Jordan, the whole group that were in that one. Thank you for putting on an entertaining show, and for everyone watching along at home. We get the opportunity now to sit back, relax, and watch. Hugo Allen's got the hard work now. He's the guy that's actually got to put in and try and qualify for this major game, because when he does, there is going to be one of the smaller nations in the esports world on his back, supporting him and driving him every single lap. It will matter as much to us as it does to him.
Exactly right. We're going to be behind him all the way through the journey that he's going to undertake over the next 4 or 5 months. A massive thanks to everyone who's been in chat, and a huge thanks to you as well, Scott, for jumping in. Your commentary is brilliant, and the insights that you provide to us, absolutely excellent as always. Big thanks to those organising it, NZ Esports, alongside New Zealand Sim Racing Collective. You've been watching here the broadcast done by Trackspot TV, and of course on New Zealand Sim Racing TV. Thanks to everyone in chat who has joined us for an exciting racing evening. The New Zealand Qualifier Stage 2 finals now complete. Hugo Allen will be going to the Global Esports Games qualifiers, and if he can do his best there and get little old New Zealand up into the top 19, we will see him on the biggest stage in the world in Los Angeles later in the year. Until we give you more updates, until we see you next time, folks, it's been a pleasure here. My name's George Cook. I've been alongside Scott Rankin today. Thanks to you all. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And of course, we'll see you next time here on NZ Sim Racing TV. Thank you and goodbye.